Hello and welcome, and it is the end of the 4th day of May 2018. My name is Derek. Like always, everything within your own risk, own reward. It's Friday night, but it's also crypto day. Every day is such because the markets never close. Let's take a look at Litecoin. We'll start off by crossing it with the not US dollar, rather that of Bitcoin. And since the high at 0.025, the market having some move lower, resisting amongst the 18 average of highs. And then there's weakness amongst 18 lows. So whenever I talk about if you see weakness amongst, this is one situation where you can see it. When it broke down below this support level, it made its low, and that's so far been the low. We look at the level of resistance, the downtrend has kind of gotten sideways. So it's still got some work to do in that of reverting the trend. It's most certainly not a downtrend. It would be neutral with the 18 average acting in the manner of going sideways. Price action got above it, and there it did so yesterday, but briefly. It did so in today's session now, because it's like 9 p.m. Eastern time, 9:18 or whatever, that this day is the start of the new one. But the attempt is that of reverting the trend. When it did so in here, it did so the attempt during a downtrend, because the 18 average was resisting this the entire time, and it was a declining moving trend line, of course. Well, not a trend line, moving average. On the shorter term time frame, amongst a 3-hour chart, we are looking back at levels in April 19th. And this is when it lifted off from a low below 160, which is really low compared to where it has been at that time. But this move that it has now been enduring over the last 3 days within Litecoin, little under, but around 3, has been, well, very big. Another case of, I guess, another case of markets going up faster than they go down, but they went up fast. They went down fast in this case too. It actually went down faster than it went up, but a lot of sideways congestion, of course, within this market, and a lot of air time to buy between this range below the 162 handle upward to the 164. Several amount of days to do such, between April 25th through May the 2nd. So one consecutive week, and then the price action changes as the 18 starts to go higher, thus changing the trend. Leaving this level of resistance is when it all got big. Big green candle up to here. 4 decent high volatile moves, bringing it back to the 18 lows. After an unvolatile pause, candle here, big green candle breaking above it. 2 lower volatile in its comparison. Red candle down moves, and now we have 1, 2, 3, possibly working on a third, but general rule of thumb is a decent percentage of the candle size should be done at the halfway point. 1 hour 39 minutes remaining on a 3-hour time frame, so it's more of a pause-ish type of candle with this high matching its previous one. So let's take a look at this even more shorter term. And I like this pattern here. It really is cool. Okay, so obviously you knew when this occurred that that was a big level of resistance that it broke out above. And we could even see that on the second green candle that the single line comes back to here. But it follows through and has a very good leg higher. And then you get a scare. Fear factor, if you will. Although you don't have to eat anything here. Big red candle down. But you're back to the bed. Correctionary move. Back to where you came from. And it even pierces below. You can say it gets neutral, gets up to the 18 average. 18 average is flattened out. But what happens here? Well, what happened there was showing you, okay, people's failed breakout, fast move lower. This is, of course, going to be the failed breakout. And this amazingly bearish setup didn't transpire. You're just waiting for the support line to break. And if you waited to short on a break of support, it's a good thing in this example because obviously shorts are not doing so well in this right now. But we can see that this bearish setup didn't go so bearish. You have this beautiful green candle here. And then this situation amongst here. The few periods that you've seen and here. You already had seen before this breakout have this larger amount of support that you wanted it to have, but survive it. Because you've seen this move, you've seen it correct nicely sideways, have this price correction come back and immediately revert, and now 3 periods hugging the 18 average of highs like that. Even on the first, on the second, not a big surprise to see boom, boom, boom. Now it's consolidating those 3 beautiful green candles towards the upside. That'll be it for the short term. I'm going to move this on more longer term now. And I'll put up the Fibonacci lines at the end of this because this is the Poloniex exchange. They do get in the way when you're trying to look at different things, and I really can't draw on those other ones like I can here because for me to remove the drawing tools, I have to remove those lines, and I don't want to do such. Okay. So when Litecoin goes, it goes. I mean, it can go. This move, to give it the term epic, might be an understatement. And it literally might be an understatement in comparison to what may come. But we'll throw that part aside. What was more epic to me was not the great rally that it had, but the correctionary move that it endured. Going sideways to this manner, having this switch, just like on the short term, can look like a failed breakout because it didn't have that big of a leg higher, a standard one. This to me is good enough supporting where you came from. But then this happened. Ooh, boy. So this failed setup, if it doesn't do it, I could almost say there's almost reason for failed move, fast move, breaking higher. But as this plays out, this is just one large bull flag. It's really in the middle to lower parts of it when you consider that you could even increase the size of it up towards here. But I've been really, really impressed with how well it has held a good chunk of this exponential move. Because when it had its move, it went from 005 and change to about 0.02. Almost a 4x gain against Bitcoin, and it did such really fast. The move in which it endured last year. Again, epic would be one word to state it. Price action then, 003. So it went from kilo of 003 to 005. That's why I'm very impressed to see it hold double or single 01 now, let alone the fact that it's holding single 015. So holding the 10 handle is what I really wanted it to see, and it's been holding the 15 handle given how tight that bull flag has been that I recently shown. But for this chart, or this back at this time, you go from about the 300 handle to about the 2100 handle. It's about a 7x gain within its move. How long did it take? Well, it wasn't a 7x move from this low point, or from this rally, which started at 4. But to go from here on the 30th day of March, and then to top on the 10th day of May, basically the entire month of April, with another week and a half on top. So about 6 weeks. 6 weeks, 5x, 6x gain. 8 weeks, 7x gain. But more importantly, for all the situations that I talk about, buy low, sell high, and all of the buy orders that could be endured in here, the amount of time that you have to wait to be able to sell back is part of the game. It's the nature of the business, if you will. But it goes to show you that those whom held on in here, especially when they add more to their position, are able to get profit. Even though you've seen levels go down, you could have bought at, say, 00444, thinking it was so cheap, and it was. Even though you've seen your portfolio lose about a third of its value, you were happy to see in here that you sold it back there. And of course, what you sold in here might have been stuff that you were buying back in here. It's one way of looking at it. And you don't need any indicators to tell you when trends are going to revert or not. Just realize that only price pays. But again, whatever you do is within your own risk and own reward. So then within the 3-day chart, and you can ignore the Pierce in the 2015 time frame. However, the level of resistance, and I'm going to put a horizontal ray in, that'll be the easiest way of putting a line in. This level here, and I could even lower this, but either way, this is a good median key area. It's where it originally supported. It resisted with the Pierce above at the original time frame in here, and a huge sell-off. But as mentioned before, it went from a low of the 300 handle, making it down to 500, but even realistically, it was a 700 low. I mean, it's really tough to count much within this level. But it was a failed, and Bittrex said the same thing, and I've talked about it before. But it came back to this area after being here. Holding here, and then holding this area here. That's what I've talked about. Even if it were to come down to here, I would still be looking at this low, and this low. As far as how I am playing this, I am looking to sell when it gets to some key points. And I've got the lines drawn in on the Bittrex exchange. So now let's move it over to there now. And what I'm going to be looking for, at least within this key Fibonacci, will see how I'll put a little bit of interest into these lines. I almost feel as if I should remove them, but I'm not going to yet, because overall, again, it's got a decent ways to go at this stage. But Key levels. Did I delete them? I guess I did. Okay, let's see how my memory serves me now. The biggest sell level for me is the 0.2 level. Whether it's able to go better than that, come close to that. I would never sell them all at a maximum point. But I do plan on having heavy liquidation amongst the most later areas. So at around 0.17, 0.1 or 0.20 is when I would be looking to do such. I have 3 sell targets. So the next one after that was in the area of around 0.07, 0.08. And then after that, below that, 0.036. And I know that's a valid number. So I'll be looking to take Litecoin from my Trezor hardware wallet, move some of them to an exchange like Binance or one of the like, sell the Litecoin on the market for obviously most likely Bitcoin. Maybe buy other coins like Dash, ZEC, or something, Bitcoin Cash, or whatever of the like. Move those coins back to the Trezor wallet. See, in a situation, if it were to say to come up to say 0.36 again. That means the price action would come up somewhere here. And maybe it would keep on going because we've seen it happen like this before. Litecoin poised for like an 8x gain. It's going to be breaking this level. If, of course, that's the case. At least an immediate 8x plus gain. But price action coming back down here would mean, okay, those coins that I sent there, whether they went sideways, whether they went down a little bit, whether they went up, it looks like a good trade most likely for me. So I would take them back to the exchanges, buy the Litecoin back, and then move them back to the hardware wallet. It's also a possibility that if it goes there, maybe the market just goes through time like this. But when I bought all these other coins up here, all of a sudden now, oh, Dash has just doubled. Yeah, let's move the Dash over and buy some Litecoin with it. Even though Bitcoin price really hasn't changed, I got twice as many, or I got, depending on the gain, because of the transaction. So that is how I am planning. I also trade Litecoin as part of one of my base currencies in the system that I've talked about, where everything is worth the same, but for me, some coins are worth more, where Litecoin and Bitcoin are the 2 heavily most weighted coins amongst my trading strategy. And then, of course, during that stage, when, let's just reset the scale here, but during that stage when all of this sideways action was happening, I was basically buying Litecoin because my portfolio was going up. And because my portfolio was going up, that means the computer was saying, okay, you need to have this many Litecoin. Okay, it's need to have more, so I buy more just for the simple fact that it was going sideways when the rest of the market was going up. And of course, this little move higher, I've sold a little bit of it. And I buy altcoins with what I need to, because whatever's been going down recently, whatever's looking worst on my books from my last trade is what I would buy and sell. Okay, we're not done with Litecoin. Let's take a look at this next against the US fiat currency. 3-hour time frame. Ooh, we hit a line. Magic. These numbers don't work. No, they don't. 171.54 is a line. The current high right now is 172.01 on the Bitfinex chart. Daily term time frame. Okay. So here's a situation when you get to a particular area for the first time. Normally, I would even say it's not. It's tough to break that level without a correction. But this was practically a Fibonacci miss on April 24th. Because it got up to 166.30, but that was a good 3% lower from the fib line. And then it had a really, really good correction. Because red candle down the following day, and then the sideways action breaking the 18 average of highs on April the 3rd. Yesterday or today's session barely getting above this now to this level, which is pretty much where it's at now. I got a whole bunch of different lines that I've drawn in here from before. How well they'll play active? Well, time will only tell. But I'm going to be looking at 230 as next key level. 276 and 370, they've totally been key areas in play before. But definitely reason to think that we might be ready for a reversal of trend, because stage one is for the band to flatten out, which it did so on February the 12th. It also did such on April the 10th-ish time frame. Then you establish resistance. It did so here. It never did break it later in this case. And here establish a level of resistance, and you'd almost have to say that this is the established resistance. This is the comeback to support. And now it is just barely broken it. So it's really at the stage where I can almost say, yeah, against the US fiat currency, Litecoin is resumed its bull market. Maybe I'd be more comfortable saying such if I see it priced closer to 175 to 180. 175 to 178 even. Because then it's a very much a clear break above resistance. However, a reason why I talk about those clear breaks is because, generally speaking, if a market doesn't get going and you get what's like a bear market rally, and if this was a bear market rally, then this correctionary move probably wouldn't have gotten above this resistance. It would have either failed within its 18 average as it was, or it would have put a lower high leaving this 18 average. So an alternate would be like, okay, it goes up in here and then it starts to roll over like that. So it's not a bear market rally is what it's telling me. And thus, because it was in the downtrend, it had its nice little introduction move or statement move. It corrected it through price and through time. First through price, then through time. And now things back going higher again. And finally, just a quick look at Litecoin versus Ethereum. I already showed this earlier on the Ethereum update, but it's been getting its ass kicked lately, Litecoin has, against Ether, because it's been in a very long standing uptrend. But let's face it, almost every single altcoin against Litecoin has been kicking Litecoin's ass lately, after Litecoin corrected better than almost all of them through this declining period. Other ones not. I mean, Monero corrected extremely well too, but as is even the case with Ethereum too, as well. But it's obviously in a situation where, as I talked about with Bitcoin, this is going to be the big key, and I'm going to show that to end this video. But what we got here is a situation where we're talking Bitcoin in a bull market as an easy way. I mean, no brainer breaking well past 10, most likely getting very, very big moves to the upside. That changes the game. It really, of course, not only for Bitcoin, but for all the altcoins. What do I mean by all the altcoins? Well, the altcoins had two stories last year when Bitcoin was doing really, 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 really well. See, when Bitcoin was doing well after it was in the earlier stages of the 2017 bull market, back in here when it was breaking out past this correctionary move, when all this was going on, the altcoins were kicking Bitcoin's ass at this time. And Bitcoin was kicking ass, big time. I know I'm saying the same words twice, but I'm doing that I'm meaning to do that. So there we had it. Bitcoin did well. See, now Bitcoin from June on went in a sideways manner, stopped going up. As did the alts. They stopped going up too. Bitcoin had a failed breakdown and then started going higher. Now this case, things were different. Bitcoin was having a tremendous run higher, yet the altcoins were not. So what was happening is the price of Ethereum and Litecoin and almost all the other altcoins back in here, when you've seen a Bitcoin break 3,000, go into 4,000 and change, was that you were getting 20% down days, especially on a day like, say, August the 5th, on all of the altcoins priced in Bitcoin. But it worked out that, oh, Bitcoin was up 18%, Ethereum was up 1.2%. So naturally against Bitcoin, they got their ass kicked. But as it came on, even through here, Bitcoin's going up and alternate coins going down. But then the end of November, something happened in here. Started December. Altcoins started rallying big. As was Bitcoin, as we can see, going 15, 18,000, and of course, topping out near 20,000. So there have been times, mainly of course about a year ago and at the end of last year, when Bitcoin was rolling to the upside really nicely, where the altcoins kicked its ass. And then of course there was late summer last year where Bitcoin did it by itself. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because to expect anything but like a monstrous amount of volatility wouldn't be prudent. I mean, you can't expect how why you'd have anything different. Why? Okay, this is going to trade at the stock market now, where 3%, 4% days are big days, and your average is going to be 1.5%, oh, heck, even 0.9% a day. No. So then, concluding this video, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.